Hey everybody! Welcome to the very first episode of Allegro Wednesdays, where we turn small business chaos into calm, one solution at a time. I'm Brandon, the mastermind behind Allegro Business Solutions. So, chief paperwork wrangler is probably more accurate most days. Give me a wave if you're tuning in live and let me know you're here. And if you're catching the replay, don't worry, you're still part of the Allegro family. Today we're diving into who I am, what I do, and why your small business needs more than coffee and good vibes to thrive. Let's jump in. So, who's this person yapping about business management? Well, I'm a small business consultant, tax strategist, and your personal translator for all things financial jargon. I started Allegro because I saw too many business owners working 80-plus hour weeks, but still wondering where all their money went. Spoiler alert, sometimes it's in your inventory closet or Uncle Sam's tax bucket, but more on that in future episodes. All right. So again, if you have any questions or you want me to address something specific, we can talk about that, or I have things that we can talk about too. That's just fine. So one of the things that we can talk about today is more about what we do. I'm not just here to organize your desk and tell you how to use a budget spreadsheet. Here's what I can do. Bookkeeping, making sure your finances are organized, not, oh no, I lost my receipts. Taxes, making sure that you stay compliant without sacrificing any extra hard-earned money to those tax gods at the IRS. Payroll, so your team can get paid on time without losing your mind. Invoicing, because getting paid late is fun for exactly 0 people. Fraud mitigation. Yeah, there's more to it than just locking the cash drawer these days. Inventory management. I can help you turn, oops, I forgot I had 500 widgets into real-time control. And last but not least, AI-driven insights. Think of it as having a crystal ball without all the weird, spooky music. Yeah, we can leverage this AI technology now in some really interesting ways. In fact, I just put out a book on Amazon that you can get that details some of the ways that I can help you use artificial intelligence and data to drive your bottom line up without having to increase your workload. In fact, it will actually make your life easier in most cases. So if you're not taking advantage of automation, you're doing a lot of extra work for nothing, basically. So why does all this matter? All this stuff I'm talking about? Because small business ownership is hard enough as it is. You know that. If you're a small business owner out there, you know that. Have you ever felt like you're a juggler who accidentally lit the pins on fire? Are your Saturdays for family time or panicked bookkeeping marathons? So I step in so you can focus on growing your business and stop stressing out about QuickBooks error messages or tax deadlines that sneak up on you like ninjas. Yeah, so the primary motivation for me to do this was not just because I was interested, obviously, in how finance and business works and learning those things, but also applying those things to help people realize their vision. I can use these strengths of mine to take some headaches away from business owners and let them focus on what they actually went into business to do. And that is really something valuable. And that's something that I offer as a personalization that you don't really get with a lot of firms. What I do is I develop relationships with small business owners and I dig in to what your needs are. And I don't try to sell you on things that you don't need. I tailor the services that I do provide to what you actually need. So you're never paying for something that you don't need, you don't want, you don't use. And frankly, it's something that I don't need to spend time on. So I don't have a set price list, for instance, because every small business owner, in my view, and in my experience, is completely different. So if you want, if you're interested in what I'm talking about here and you want to just talk about, or you want to say, well, how can you help my business? We can set up a free consultation and we can just talk. You can tell me about your business and what your needs are, and I can talk about what I do and how they interlap. Let me share with you a quick story. Let's see. Oh, I was thinking about that now. So what happens a lot of times when small business will approach me, they'll almost come up to me with this shoebox full of receipts and angry letters from the IRS that say, help me clean this up. So what I can do is I can say, all right, give it to me. I clean up the books. I organize everything. I automate their invoicing, and boom, payments start coming in faster than Amazon Prime deliveries. And now we have a business that was a headache, and now we have a business that's ready to expand. The point is, small changes in your operation can lead to big wins. And that's kind of what I'm here for. I'm here for all of those little small things that add up to big things and end up kind of monopolizing what you do all day as a business person. And I want to give you some relief from that by taking the bookkeeping or the payroll or whatever's taking up a lot of your time. And I can do that for you. And I generally charge a lot less than most of my competitors do too. So you can get all of these services in one place, which also is not usual. Usually you have to go to one firm for taxes, one firm for bookkeeping, another firm for payroll, and et cetera, and it adds up in time and money. So I offer all of these things in one place and at a lower price point. So enough about me. Let's talk about you. Leave me a comment. Tell me what your biggest business headaches are. Is it late payments, tax time errors, keeping track of inventory items? Let's see. Messages have I been getting here? Oh, late payments. Yeah, that's relatable. There's nothing like that awkward just following up on my unpaid invoice again email. It happens, especially when you've got a lot on your plate. Let's see. Got some other messages from the page here. Oh yeah, tax stress. I've been there. It's kind of like an escape room, except instead of escaping, you owe money. Not so much fun. Yeah, so I can help with that. Absolutely. Right now, of course, we've just started tax season for, we're going through all your finances for 2024 and figuring out, hopefully, you get some money back. I help people and businesses figure out ways to maximize their work throughout the year and minimize what they might owe. Like I tell people, you might think you have a very simple tax return, and maybe you do, but every couple of years you might want to approach someone like myself and say, is my tax situation really that simple, or am I missing something? Because let me tell you something, the tax code changes all the time. It's enormous to begin with, which is why people like me have jobs. The tax code is very complicated. Congress and the regulatory agencies are always at work, the courts even, they contribute to the tax code, and there's always changes. So there may be things that you're missing out on. You could be maybe getting back more money depending on what you're doing with your money throughout the year. So tax strategy is also something that a tax pro can provide. Speaking in terms both of personal tax returns and business tax returns, we're talking about a longer term tax strategy rather than just diving into TurboTax, getting in and out as fast as possible and hoping you did it right. I did that for a long time too before I learned all of this business with the tax code and bookkeeping and whatnot. And I kind of kick myself for it because I think I could have probably saved myself a lot of headaches and a lot of money, frankly. Uh, I mean, gosh, if you have anything more than like one W-2, the cost of TurboTax is way more than I charge to do a tax return as a professional. So maybe you might want to consider that to just reduce your stress, your headaches, whether you're a small business owner or you just you want someone to look over your tax forms. One thing that I do, especially this time of year, is I help folks out with their W-4 forms. If you're like most people, you have a job and you're not an independent contractor. In other words, you get a W-2 around this time of year, and they take FICA taxes out of your paycheck. So this would apply to you. So you fill out a W-4 form when you get hired, right? And ever since about the year 2020, the IRS changed this form. And they didn't really explain why they changed it or what to do with it. So it's been confusing the bejesus out of everybody. I get a lot of questions about this form. I just posted a blog article about it, actually. You can look up allegrosolutions.net. It's I try to clarify it as much as possible, but it basically boils down to this. The W-4 is, the new one, is meant to capture not just the income you're getting from your current job, but all of your household income for that year. See, the old form was just focused on that particular employer only. And sometimes that would be okay. But what was happening was that the IRS was finding it was giving out a lot of refunds and a lot of tax bills that were upsetting for people. They were surprised they were getting a tax bill at the end of the year. The IRS doesn't want to be a bank. It doesn't want to hold your money. It doesn't want to have to chase you down to pay money to them. So what they wanted to do with this new W-4 is make it so that you can, as accurately as possible, you're not going to get every eventuality on a W-4, as possible to get it so that you're withholding just the right amount of money so that you don't get a huge refund and you don't owe money. It's just right in the middle. That's what they're trying to aim at with this W-4. So that's why it's really important you get that right. Make sure you're putting the right filing status on there, making sure that you're not claiming too many exemptions or exemptions and withholdings you're not eligible for. Be very careful about that. If you're married, make sure you're including your spouse's income, because most people who are married file jointly, and so you'll need to take that into account for your tax bill and your tax liability, and that's why that's included on the W-4 form. So try your best to just look it over, be careful, think about all the different ways that you might be making money that year so that you don't end up with a nasty surprise come tax time. All right, so I'm also here to answer questions you might have about business management. So hit me with your best shot. What do you need to know about bookkeeping, taxes, payroll, or anything else that's keeping you up at night? Let me have a look here, see our messages. We got anything here, or you can leave a comment if you'd like. Let's see. Yes, you do need to file taxes even if you only made a few sales. Trust me, the IRS will find out. We say that the IRS is underfunded, and they are, but they seem to have this real talent for figuring out where the money is, that you're hiding something, and they will find out about it. One thing that you might notice this year is that there's a new form now. There's a 1099-K. It's not exactly new, but the way they're sending it out to people is basically if you use an app like PayPal or Venmo or Cash App, anything like that, the IRS wants that company to send you a 1099-K form. What that is they're not looking for your personal transaction. They don't care about those things like, if you're out to eat with somebody and you contribute money for the bill to your friend there, that they don't care about that. What they're looking for is business transactions. If you sell something to somebody, that would be something that would get reported on a 1099-K form. Or if you're a business person and you allow people to pay you through that, through apps, then the app will send you that 1099-K form. So don't assume that just because you're using these third-party payment apps that it won't get hit by taxes. Let's see, the child tax credit. I had no idea it only went until the child was 17, not 18. It lowers to $500 after 17. Yeah, there have been a lot of changes surrounding the child tax credit, actually. We have the child tax credit, and now we have the additional child tax credit. The child tax credit has actually gotten quite strict about who it applies to and how much it is and whether or not it's even refundable. And the additional child tax credit was introduced during the COVID years, the initial spike in the pandemic, to help folks out with some additional money that could be directly paid back. And in some cases, I believe at one point they were paying out just direct cash payments to people with kids. So how much? Yeah, you're right. The child tax credit does start phasing out as they get older, when they hit 17, not 18, unfortunately. And again, some of these things might change. We just got a new Congress, and we're going to have a new president soon. Well, new, old, you know what I mean. But and some of these changes were his, so, and they're starting to sunset this year, and so they might have to get renewed, and it's going to be an interesting thing to watch. So, yeah, I'll be keeping an eye on that too. And the also, the child tax credit, the eligibility for that is also dependent on other things too. If you're married but you're filing separately, you can't claim it at all. So that's another reason why I kind of advise people, if you're married, you should probably file jointly if at all possible. There are a couple of circumstances where this isn't, optimal to do. So, yeah. The child tax credit is, it used to be a lot more generous, but it's not anymore. It's one of those nip and tuck things they did in the 2018 Tax Cuts and Jobs Act. They took about, in addition to the child tax credit changes, they also took away or lowered the deductions for state and local taxes we used to have. They took away certain small business deductions. And it came as a surprise to a lot of people, because this bill was supposed to cut taxes, but a lot of working class, middle class types found out, well, a lot of my deductions went away, or they're a lot smaller than they used to be. So, yes, this is kind of why I also advise people, it's not such a bad idea to enlist the help of a tax pro sometimes, because it's our job to keep our finger on the pulse of these things, and it can go by fast and furious. These tax bills can be enormous, and yeah, they stick all kinds of little surprises in there. And one of those was about the child tax credit, the age cap, and the significantly lower amount that it's worth. That can be offset, again, like I said, by the additional child tax credit, the value of which is or can be much larger depending on your overall income. And the additional child tax credit is also what we call a refundable tax credit. There are non-refundable tax credits and there are refundable tax credits. The non-refundable tax credits, they can lower your tax burden, how much you owed, all the way down to zero, but it can't go to the point where you get money back. So, but a refundable credit will be, you can not only reduce your tax burden, but it will the overflow will come back to you in a refund. And that's also the earned income tax credit is really important, because that is, as many of you might know, a totally refundable tax credit, and it's really helpful for working families who don't make a lot of money. They're kind of maybe lower middle class, depending on how you're, where you live and how you define that. But yeah, that can be worth a tremendous amount of money. And as a tax professional, we actually have to fill out special paperwork if somebody is claiming the earned income tax credit, because it is worth so much money, and we have to check all these boxes to make sure that we've done our due diligence to make sure you actually qualify for it. The same thing for other tax credits. To make sure that you're taking advantage of these is education credits like the American Opportunity Tax Credit and the Lifetime Learning Credit. They're similar, but there are important differences between the two. The former, the American Opportunity Tax Credit, is a little bit more restrictive about how you can claim it, who can claim it. You have to be working on your first degree. It can't be a graduate degree, and it's capped off, and it's non-refundable. The lifetime learning credit is a little bit less restrictive. You can apply it to additional professional development and graduate education, and you can get some of that refunded. They do have a formula on a worksheet that you have to figure out exactly how much of your expenses you can get back. So we've got another question. Let's see. It says, my mom passed just before Mother's Day. Do I have to file for my mom for the time she was alive this year? Well, first of all, I'm sorry to hear about your mother. Yes, the IRS, in short, will make you have to file for a deceased taxpayer. There are some things like you have to account for, the income they did make while they were with us, and and their investments, and figuring out their Social Security tax if they collect. I don't know how old your mother was, so I'm just guessing based on what I've learned about folks who have passed away, and that would fall more under an estate tax kind of thing. And some of the arrangements they would have had when they passed away. Some people work with elder law attorneys. They develop a will of some kind, or oh, okay. So she was in a nursing home. She was 90. Okay, well, bless her heart. I worked in nursing homes for many years, so yeah. Okay, so I'm gonna make some assumptions. If you weren't terribly wealthy, then probably if she was a long-term resident, it's likely that Social Security and Medicaid are going to be the principal financial means by which you funded that stay and your mother's income, so to speak, even though most likely all of it was going to the nursing home. So what you'll do then is you'll take the money that she was paid, even if it was being paid to you or a conservator or a payee, depending on your situation, and most likely than not, she will not owe a tax, or her family, her estate will not owe a tax, because generally speaking, Social Security income isn't taxed unless your total income beyond Social Security is a certain amount. It's a big formula that they have for figuring out how much you owe in regards to people getting Social Security benefits. But your mother being a nursing home resident, again, I'm just assuming she was a long-term resident, that more likely than not. I would be surprised if if you inherit a tax burden. Um, Most likely, it would just be a matter of uh, kind of closing the records, so to speak, with the IRS, letting them know that she's passed, and just kind of sorting out her final finances. Um, and certainly, you could do that on your own, or you could enlist a tax professional like myself or someone else, if you'd like, to walk you through that process. Um, but yeah, so typically, the questions that come with decedents, folks that have passed on, have to do with inheritance taxes, and folks who had uh, substantial means or just something to pass on to their descendants, and then we have to find out things like basis and calculate how much it was worth at the time of death, etc. It gets to be a bit complicated. So, um, yeah, so she's asking if you need the death certificate when you file. In my experience, no. They will believe you that she has passed, and generally, the Social Security Administration will also have heard that she has passed, and the two agencies can communicate with each other. So they will cross-reference their records just to make sure, if they do happen to audit your return, and I doubt they would. Again, it doesn't sound like that we're we're talking about like inheriting millions of dollars here, for instance, or a big manor or estate or something where they'd have to look into all of those records and confirm that this person did die during the year and everything was in order, just exactly right. If her finances were pretty straightforward, like again I was saying, I don't know for sure whether she had a pension on top of. Yeah, bless her heart too. I really am sorry for your loss. Like I said, I worked in a nursing home settings for a good decade or so. So yeah, yeah, I'm familiar with that experience, and I even worked on the admissions and discharges side, so I know a little bit more about how nursing home folks, I mean the people who live there, how the financing works and doesn't work most often, especially with folks who have Medicare premium plans, Part C plans. They often get kicked off a lot faster than people who have just regular plain old government Medicare. But that's a whole other issue. Getting a little far away from that there. Oh, okay. I probably did. Depending on which home she was in. I mean, I've worked in a number of places in Marquette County, but yeah. Um, Okay, I hope I've helped you out with your question there as much as I could. I know it gets a little complicated when folks pass away, and you know, but but it, I'm going to assume that again her finances were pretty straightforward. MCF, yeah, I worked there a couple of years back. Yeah, it's a good chance that I probably did come across your mother. Um, it's not coming to my mind right at the second, but um, right. So Medicaid and Social Security would likely indicate. Oh, you're welcome, sure. But just to wrap it up, would likely indicate that there wouldn't be an additional tax burden for that, uh, and she would have passed in the early part of the year. So yeah. Yeah, but yes, you do have to file a return on the behalf of someone who has died. It's usually the person, the executor of the estate, or person that would be the DPOA of the decedent, who would be responsible for filing those taxes. Okay, so we got some great questions out there. We had questions about child tax credit. We went into the additional child tax credit, the earned income tax credit. We touched a little bit on education tax credits. Um, and we had a question about filing taxes on the behalf of those who have passed. Are there any other questions? So before we wrap up here, here's the deal. If you're ready to stop drowning in spreadsheets and actually take control of your business or personal finances, I want you to go to my website, allegrosolutions.net, and schedule yourself a free consultation. Totally obligation free. We'll just chat, see where you're at. Whether you're a business owner or you need your taxes done, I can help you out. So I'll be back next Wednesday, where we'll dive into some bookkeeping basics. In other words, how to go from, oh no, I lost my receipt again, to, oh, my finances are tight like a drum. That's where we want them to be. And remember, you've got this. And if you don't, I've got your back. So see you next Wednesday. It will likely be here. I think my Instagram account has to be 30 days old. So that's why we're not doing it there like I had originally planned. So I'll be here again next week. And again, bring your questions or I'll chat. I always bring things to talk about. All right. Allegro Wednesdays, your business glow up hour. Bye-bye, friends. Thank you so much.